Final half hour here on a busy, fast-moving Overreaction Monday. We mentioned some of the big high school performances over the weekend. There was another that happened across the river over at Moorhead at Jake Christian Stadium on Friday night. Park Christian got a big win over Pine River Bacchus, led by Logan Geese, who was sensational for the Falcons. His head coach is Matt Baasch, who joins us on this Monday morning, a disciple of Steve Lockway. So I automatically apologize that you had to work with Lockway for a while. Can you spill the beans on why he hates Halloween? Can you tell us about that?
Dom, there's not many humans that have more stories of Steve Lockway than I do. And I assumed I was blacklisted from this show because of his weekly appearance. And now that I'm on, Dom, there's no stopping now.
There we go.
So whatever you need to know, let's roll.
Congrats on the win. We were just visiting off air. Tell us about the opportunity for the boys to get a chance to play at Concordia and what was under the lights on Friday night.
Yeah, what a great experience. And that's coming from an old Dragon, Dom, over in Cobberville. I know that's not the same mystique as it used to be, but they treated us phenomenally over there. You know, as we went from 9-man to 11-man, we've got to widen our field. We got the lights put up this year. So there's still some stuff they're working on our field, and it just isn't quite ready yet to play on. So, talk to Concordia with them getting the new lights and the new turf. Again, they just were welcoming us with open arms over there, and it was a phenomenal experience.
Describe this challenge of going from 9-man to 11-man. You already mentioned what you have logistically. What does that mean athletically, competition-wise on the field?
Yeah, for sure. It's we're blessed this year with a lot of athletes, so that transition, wasn't as difficult. It's the depth thing, Dom, that really is the big piece. Is you're playing two more athletes, and then you've got to make sure you've got enough depth behind those guys to where if you've got to give them a break or if you've got some injuries and muscular things that you got to get a guy in or out of the game, those are the things that we're really trying to face, and we're trying to really recruit within our walls to make sure that the kids that are going to Park Christian that should play football are playing football. So we're really working hard on that. But like X's and O's and scheme wise, we've known this is coming for the last couple of years. So everything we've done the last couple of years was to be ready for this, and that transition has not been overly challenging for us. It's really getting the guys out and the depth piece.
How was that? What was that challenge of going make sure, hey, you want to come play football or be interested in football?
Yeah. It's funny that we had some guys that didn't come out, and I think, I don't know if it's fear is the word, but the wonder that not knowing what it's going to look like going to 11-man. Yeah, I think held a couple of guys back. We actually, it's funny enough, we've got two guys that decided to join today, Dom. Two guys that came to the game and watched. Yeah. So like those are big things of guys that are like, yeah, I could do that. We can play at this level. And I think that we scrimmaged this summer, and we went over. Moorhead was there. We didn't scrimmage Moorhead, and I think some of our moms were like, "We're doing what now?" I said, there's some big boys over there, but we didn't actually scrimmage those guys. But I think being there and scrimmaging, Central Cass and some other teams that are really good programs, and we could hold our own. I think people were like, okay, we can do this. And then playing the first game when we played fairly well, I think there's a lot of moms that are a lot more comfortable today than they were a few weeks ago.
Well, winning goes a long ways as well. You won big Friday, that maybe get some more knocks on the door today.
Yeah, I'd love it. Yeah, I hope that happens, Dom.
Tell us about your game Friday night. We were mentioning Logan off the top. He scored 4 touchdowns, did everything. I know you joke with the paper with the forum on Friday night that all he likes to do is score touchdowns.
Yeah, Dom. That's the truth too. Like since he was a little kid, he scored 4 touchdowns 4 games in a row last year. Scored 25 total touchdowns.
Holy cow!
Sophomore. So he's just a kid who's got a nose for the end zone, and he like I joke, but that is the truth. He loves scoring touchdowns. It's like I love drinking morning coffee. He loves scoring touchdowns. So like, I'm not the brightest kid in the world, Dom. I'm a farm kid from Page, North Dakota. So I give that kid the ball and let him score touchdowns. That's what we do a lot of the times. And we've got a lot of other big dudes and receivers that can put the ball in the end zone as well. But he's a special player.
With that kind of prolific efficiency, what kind of looks is he getting at the next level, which you know plenty about?
Yeah, he's getting some D2 looks right now. He's got some big aspirations. I told him he's got to perform well these first few games. Part of it is not that we're disrespected at all, but as a competition level in 9-man and 1A it's just different, and it just is. So you got to perform really well in those first 4 games to get some tape out there to the coaches. And then, the summer camps, he went to most of the camps this last summer. He'll go back again this summer. So I think, as his progression moves along, when we kind of figure out what he is at the next level, whether he's a slot receiver or a running back, or he's got 4 interceptions in the first 3 games as well. I think he's top 2 in the state right now.
Holy cow.
So he's a good player.
I got to ask, I remember when Park Christian started varsity football, almost it wasn't a novelty, but people were excited, like, all right, we got our own football team finally. How has it been the last couple of years to say, we want to come out, we want to be respected, and we're a program over here, don't forget about us?
Yeah, I think that's been a challenge internally and externally. We can do great things here. As we talk about, we want to be the example of a Christ-centered program in the area, and that's where we work really hard on that. We talk about all the time about how we can be both. We can be strong Christian men on the football field, so others can see Jesus through us, and that's what we focus on. And we can use football for that. You can get used by football fairly easily too, Dom. But we try really hard to make sure that we use football as a tool to show people who we are, and hopefully attract people to us, and honestly to the gospel through that.
For you taking this job, you knew full well the challenges. What were maybe the unexpected ones that have crept up since you took over?
Yeah, there's been a lot. The field, for one, has been a challenge, getting that thing right. Again, selling within our own walls, like I said, like you said, Dom, of growing a program to go, like, we're not just here to play, we're here to do big things, right? We're here to be a respected program and to compete at a level that is like a state level. I really feel like with what we do and how we do things, and the coaching staff we have and the support that we get, that we can do things at a very, very high level. To change that perspective, it takes some time, but that's all I've done in my career, is like with Lockway at Shanley and at MSU. There's some walks in the desert, Dom, back in the day that we went through. And and when you go through that stuff, I think God prepares you for moments like we're in right now of the growth, and people going, my goodness, that's something special they got going on over there, and I want to be part of that. And that's what it's all about.
Well, I mentioned off the top of the show, we're doing our best of the weekend with the Dragons being 3-0. You got to have just a smile on your face seeing what they're doing right now.
It's great, Dom. My oldest son is over there as a junior. He's the running backs and tight ends coach, and I'm super proud of him and Steve too. Steve is, as people see Steve and get to know him in the public, he's even a better human being than what you guys see. He is as good as they get, and he chose to be at this level. He chose to put his faith in his family before his career. Honestly, he's got no business coaching at this level. He's a phenomenal coach and phenomenal human being. So what they've done, and I think what we learned, Dom, is like, when you get kids to come play for you, you got to figure out what they're really good at, because we weren't good at much back in the day. So we had to work really hard of going, okay, Jake Hodge is a 5'11", 200-pound slow quarterback. What can he do well? And then you just do that over and over again. We joked all the time about the rules of quarterbacking was throw the ball to the open guy. And that sounds dumb, but that really is like, okay, how do we get him open, and how do we get the quarterback to give him the ball? And that was the stuff that we really became a part of what we are. And that's why they're doing so well, is they find kids that fit their system, and they get the ball in the right guy's hands. They throw it 60 times a game because Jack Strand is really
good. Yep.
It's not complicated.
When you looked up and you were moving up to 11 man, and you're going to be in a section with Monoman Waban, you're going to be there with Ada, who you're going to got coming up. These are not run-of-the-mill teams. You describe that of knowing, okay, not only are we moving up, we're going to be playing some of the very best in our area.
Well, it's tough, but it's great, because if you can compete with Monoman, you're competing at the state level, right? Dom, they've been so good for so long,
right?
And they play really, really good football. So they set the bar, and that's what you want. You want to be able to watch those guys and go, okay, if we play like those guys, if we can compete at that level, we can compete for state championships if we can compete with those guys. So we get a chance to watch those guys on film against a lot of other teams, and understanding what they do and how the type of football they play. We play a little bit different style because of the guys that we have this year. We're putting the ball downfield a lot, but again, you just understanding where that bar is set, and then you can try to achieve that level of play. And I think that's great. But yeah, it's not your run-of-the-mill of programs we're facing.
A couple of minutes left here with Matt Baasch, head coach of Park Christian. You mentioned, okay, so it's Ada Bora West this week. how do you tell the guys what we did Friday? How do we carbon copy that and do that again this coming Friday?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dom. I told him this morning as we practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. We say, we got to look back at what did we do well, and what are the things that we did to do that stuff well, and then just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And again, it isn't rocket science. Is you do that stuff better, and you get better outcomes. So that's really the things is you can confidence in the lows, and you lack arrogance in the highs. So you guys got to go and look at it and go, okay, here's what we did last week, and now let's do that stuff even better this week. And then the stuff we didn't do well, okay, let's eliminate that. So it's more of the good, less of the bad, then you get a better outcome. It's really simple.
Feel like was confidence different this morning in practice after what happened Friday night?
Dom, it was. They Pine River is a giant football team. So I'll be honest, like it was one of those games going into it. I didn't really like. I've been coaching long enough, Dom, to really you know what the outcomes should be, most of the time. I didn't really know in this one because they were, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" dudes that are 270 to 300 pounds. And, we're not that size. But we talked all week about we just got to be us, and the best versions of ourselves. And that's what we did. And I think when they saw the outcome of doing that, they're like, okay, now I feel this and I see it. So yeah, there was a little shoulders back and chest up walk, I think, this morning when I walked in, Dom.
All right, before I let you go, I got to ask, you have a great Dragon Road horror story you can tell on 90 seconds of, hey, how in the world did we get here? Does one come to mind?
There's one, Dom. There's one, and I got tons of stories about those things too. But we were on a road trip one time, and I don't know if it was Sioux Falls or where we were, and we went in to eat at the hotel, and we're about a third of the way through the line of eating. And the hotel's like, hey, we're out of chicken. And we're like, what do you mean you fed a third of the guys so far? And like, well, we made one chicken breast per player. We're like, well, how in the world does that happen? I don't know if that was our fault or their fault. But Dom, they were emptying the freezer, dropping stuff in the fryers. And so the coaches ended up going, I think, over to B-Dubs and eating as a staff. But that was one that really stands out of going, okay, we got to feed our guys, on these trips. But Dom, we can get into Lockway stories some other time, but we got a lot of really good ones and fun ones of a great human being.
Such as life in Division II. That's good stuff.
Oh, that's it.
Congrats on the great win, bud, on an awesome start to the year. Thanks so much for doing this, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Appreciate it, Dom. Thanks for what you do.
There you go. Matt Baasch, head coach at Park Christian. Falcons are 2-1. Biggie this coming weekend against Ada Borup West. Again, one of the great programs there in 8A football. Keep an eye on Park Christian there. Got Logan Geese, the real player. As many touchdowns he's racked up so far for Park Christian. We'll take our final break. We come back. We're already done. We'll wrap up this busy Monday. Get you ready we got 2 Monday Night Football games. And the Twins are playing. We'll get an update on the baseball standings with 2 weeks to go in the regular season. Hot Mike will wrap right after this.